Well, hello and welcome to another movie review from MBE. Today we're going to talk about Mel Brooks' Spaceballs, John, from all the way back in 1987. I was 11 years old.
I was even alive.
There's something about Mel Brooks' films. You know, I think it's fair to say we're both big fans of Mel Brooks.
Yes.
Obviously, as the discussion carries forward, is it one of his best films? That will be the question that we will be posing throughout this review, John, but I'm going to pass it over to you now anyway. We're coming from different perspectives here because obviously, as I said, I've seen this back in 1987 and I've not seen it probably since maybe the 1990s, so it's been a while. I watched it again today. That's the today when we've been recording this show. You've seen it for the very first time, so we're coming at different angles. You're coming from a more fresh angle. I'm kind of comparing it to my first experience with it, and obviously how I viewed this film today.
Stephen, look, I love Mel Brooks, as you did say. I knew, even though I hadn't seen the movie, what I was going to get to some extent, because I know what the guy's humour's like. It's surreal at times. It's on the nose at times. It's just stupid at times, but you just laugh because I love him. I love the guy. I love what he brings to movies. I'm a huge fan of the likes of Young Frankenstein and obviously Blazing Saddles and whatnot. Love the guy and the producers. So I knew, I don't know why I'd never seen it, but I righted that wrong today. It's all getting righted in this sort of coronavirus period where we're having no new releases. Yeah. Finally seen Die Hard. I've seen this. Perhaps I'll watch another movie I've not seen ever. In the next week or so, perhaps Goodfellas. There's another one I've not seen. Absolute shot corner. But Stephen, I finally did see it, and look, you get the movie opens up with a bang. Really, it's once upon a time jump. Yeah. So again, they're taking the absolute piss right from the start out of Star Wars. Something that continues throughout. I think there's a fine balance between homage and parody in this movie. But also, you get that big long sort of what the hell's your opening crawl. Yeah. It's about to say title credits. I don't know why. Technically, it is, but it's not. And again, it's just fantastical. There's a use of a word in this opening crawl that had me laughing my head off right away. I'm trying to find out what it was. I think I wrote it down. Unbeknownst and knownst. Who the hell uses the word unbeknownst and then knownst in the same sentence? It's just, again, it's settling you in. Look, this is what you're getting here. It's a spoof movie. Don't take it too serious. And then we've got the never-ending ship. It just goes on for about 5 minutes. It just goes.
That still makes me laugh.
It's like Red Dwarf-esque, the ship, and ping pong tables.
The way that the ship's designed is that at some point the ship starts to narrow and you think it's coming to the sort of exhaust pipe end of the ship, whatever you want to call it, and then it thickens up again. It gets more bulky again. So there's another big bit to go, and it goes on. I don't know how long it goes on for. Maybe about 3 minutes or something like that. Maybe it's not as long as that, but it does feel like that. But
break for nobody.
It's there's the one on obviously the Winnebago as well. I love Uranus. It's just stupid things like that, John. The humour or the visual humour in this reminds me so much of Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen. Just the common of the desert kind of that kind of thing. It's just obvious humour, but when you see it obviously visually, it just tickles you. Just absolutely tickles you.
Because I knew it was coming, Stephen. That's the Comb the Desert line. I knew it was coming before it even came. It was like what we've seen in Blazing Saddles with the gallows guy, totally out of place for a movie set in that time period. He's like a knight from 300-400 years prior. It's just things like that. The painting in that room of the governor. There's things going on in Mel Brooks movies that wouldn't be touched by any other director. The guy does not give a shit. Stephen, obviously they introduced the villain of the piece, played by Rick Moranis. At this point they actually introduced Colonel Sanders as well. I can't recall who plays him, but it's hilarious, this scene as well, to a degree, because they set up a joke that just continues throughout. And then in amongst us we've also got Princess Vespa, who's the sort of Princess Leia of the spoof movie. She's getting married to some goofball called, I think, Prince Valium. They can barely stay awake. Again, there's a little joke for you in there. He's on Valium. And we've got flying Mercedes cars, and we've got flying Winnebagos and Pizza the Hutt's introduced. There's a lot going on in the first 10 minutes of this movie. But obviously the dark helmet, it's Darth Vader. Big goofy helmet, huge. You think he's going to be quite brooding here. And then he lifts the helmet up and says, I can't breathe in this thing, and it's just gone right away. He's zapping guys in the balls and everything. And then you've got them all holding their balls. Instead of it being the choking thing, that's the running joke throughout. If you step this guy, you cross over him, if that even means. Double cross him, then he will zap you in the goals.
Trample on his toes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something about
I'm sure there's other ones.
There's something about Rick Moranis in this film, John. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of him, I've got to be honest with you, you know, and Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, etc. You know, but there's something really pet about this character.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't like people going over his helmet, as he says. You know, and also
so she'd give great helmet.
He's just. Yeah, I mean, he's a little creep, isn't he? You know, he's got those figures as well, hasn't he?
Oh,
and what he does with it,
yeah.
it's just disturbing. But yeah, I mean, his introduction, John, he doesn't like being corrected. He's quite uptight in that sense, you know, especially when he thinks the coffee machine's the radar machine. And
you went over my helmet.
It's pointed out that it's actually, yeah, I know it's a coffee machine. I always have my coffee when I'm looking at the radar, you know, and. There's obviously that fourth wall, you know, broken very early on as well. You know, Dark Helmet turns around to the audience and says, "Did you get all that?" When the plot is explained by Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders as well. I don't know the actor's name, John, but
I just searched that up enough, so it's totally left my mind.
He reminds me of Proctor from Police Academy.
George Weiner.
Yeah. I'm not really too familiar with him, I've got to be honest, but there's something about this guy. It's some of his facial expressions as well was really, really funny.
Yeah.
But it was a good introduction to obviously the villain, Dark Helmet. You know, his little black tie as well. I thought that was brilliant.
Again, that's almost like Hitler from the producers. Springtime for Hitler in Germany. The little tie. It's just the little things you know visually. He's setting it apart. It's kind of a parodying and playing homage to Star Wars, but then there's little things that set it apart. Stephen, obviously we do have Mel Brooks making his appearance at some point in this movie as well, shortly after all of this, the Pizza the Hut and all. Incidentally, the Winnebago looking tiny from the outside, and then you go in and it's like a 5-bedroom apartment inside. It's like the Doctor Who TARDIS. A little joke on the Falcon, this tiny little pizza-sized ship. They seem to be able to fit 7-foot Chewbacca's and whatnot in it. So I liked that little joke. But we get Brooks's President Scroob at this point, and he's taking pot shots at Star Trek at this point as well, the transporter.
Snotty,
Beam me up, Snotty.
I
didn't realise my ass was that big. Why didn't anybody
that's
tell
right,
me?
his head's on the wrong way. There's something interesting as well, that Mel Brooks plays two characters, and the two characters he plays is, you know,
it's still to be good in the ultimate band.
it's basically the Emperor and Yoda, you know. so it's quite clever, you know. But I mean, it's good to see that obviously Dark Helmet's, he's got to answer to someone as well, which is quite reassuring because this guy's not got a clue. He just likes to throw his weight around and he doesn't really know what's going on half the time.
It's classic small man syndrome. He's a very small man.
Yeah, I mean, everything, you know, you talk about, John, you know, the classic Brooks humour here in your notes, you know, about the jamming of the radar. You know, and it's so obvious what's going to happen, you know, but you don't understand and you don't really know how they're going to, you know, do that visually, you know, especially with 1987's technology. How they did it was fantastic. It was obviously, I don't know if it was stop motion or whatever. It was very slowed down anyway. It was very slow motion the way they did
Probably
it.
Just ping pong.
You know, but it was, you know, it's daft. It's absolutely daft humour. You know, the ludicrous speed bit, which we were talking about before we came on, was probably one of my favourite bits of the film.
Yeah. Ridiculous speed. Ludicrous speed.
The fact that the hyperspace, you know, the traditional stars all going a line. Well, they ended up going into tartan.
Yeah, so the great line from John Candy in it. What does he say? What the hell was that? Spaceball 1. I've gone played. I've gone to play. I can't recall where he says it. You see the played on them. It's amazing.
It's really good.
And his character's superb in this as well. Stephen John Candy. Barfox. He plays it was a mog.
A mog, yeah.
It's not a man, not a dog. It's a mog. I love John Candy. He's one of the great community actors.
Bonios as well, isn't he?
Yeah. And he's also going down a ladder to connect into the princess's ship to rescue her before they beam it into the tractor. We have that little payback to Star Wars again where they're searching the ship. This time we've got you, there's no escape. He opens the door up, no one there. I think he hits his head and trips and falls into the actual ship. He's an absolute goofball, his Dark Helmet in this movie. But Stephen, you're right, the humour early on in this movie, it just establishes that great Brooks traditional sort of trademark humour that he has. You're right with the raspberry jam in the radar.
Yeah.
We've got a sort of New Yorker Brooklyn C3PO droid. Who's it? Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, yeah.
And it's almost, I says it almost reminded me of Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny, that accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That accent in itself, when it's throwing out insults and whatnot, it's just hilarious to listen to. We've got industrial strength hairdryers in the desert. We've got the balls at him gag, as I did say. It just continues through. And as you did say as well, Stephen, the breaking of the fourth wall, something that happens time and again with this. We've got Bath turning round. I can't recall what he says, but he breaks the fourth wall anyway. And then obviously they're watching Spaceballs as well. We've got Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
I know it's actually that helmet asking, just get Spaceballs. And he's like, what the hell do you mean? We're in the middle of shooting it. Again, breaking the fourth wall. It's bringing reality into the movie because we're seeing all of the Mel Brooks releases in chronological order. They open up the actual Spaceballs. I think it's the early release edition or some crap like that. And they're watching it and they're seeing themselves on the screen. And again, it's just that something that I don't think a lot of directors would think of doing. Breaking the fourth wall. Injecting some reality, and because this is a spoof movie, then you have got that degree of freedom. But I love that actual element about the movie.
Yeah,
Yogurt as well, Stephen. If you want to introduce Yogurt to this,
this is Brooks again, isn't it?
Yes.
You know his introduction. They crash, don't they? The Winnebago runs out of fuel, and they crash on a desert planet. Surprising, you know. And we've got these little dink men or whatever they're called. You know. Singing songs and stuff like that.
What's a little song they do again?
And dink, 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 you know. And they lead obviously the gang to Yogurt. And this is obviously where we get to find out about the Schwartz, you know.
Who's the Schwartz?
And as you know, Barth says, is it like the Force, you know? Clearly not.
Schwartz.
It's a Schwartz, yeah.
See, the first time I seen this character, I was killing myself because it's so clearly Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Painted gold, he's teeny.
He's on his knees with slippers attached to his knees.
It's just ridiculous.
We've all did that, haven't we?
He's a great character though, and what I love more about it is the fact that he then gets into just absolutely wreck, throwing shade aplenty at George Lucas and his obsession with merchandising and money. It's not. This is the real movie. It's about this. Spaceballs are the Schwartz on a bag, the Schwartz on this, the Schwartz on that, on bedding, everywhere on t-shirts.
Yeah.
Throwing the shade at George Lucas, and it's hilarious because he's right. Even back then, the industry was aware of how much of a cash grab and shit that Lucas was at this point. He was just, of course, now we know he was ahead of the game. He was well ahead of the curve. We've seen that with Disney and also the MCU and whatnot, and they've just, a lot of the money made for movies now is actually made in merchandise as a side to the actual movie. I mean, I think Disney, they earn like $1 billion, $2 billion a year in merchandise alone. But it's hilarious just seeing the little shades and jokes being flung at Lucas in this movie.
Yeah.
And just taking the piss out of everything, Stephen. It's not just Star Wars. There is a huge part of this movie where they seem to forget about Star Wars and take the piss out of Indiana Jones to an extent. And I think they say this is like what was it when they go into the actual temple to meet Yogurt? I think it's Barth says something, it's like the Last Crusade or something like that. Can't recall the temple. They make some Indiana Jones joke anyway.
You've also got Michael Winslow in there, John.
Yes.
Radar technician. Now, anyone that knows Michael Winslow know him mostly from Police Academy films.
My favourite character.
He's an absolute Jones, from Police Academy, and he's the guy that does all these sound effects. This was obviously, his sort of party trick, clearly, and they've brought him in a sort of cameo. But it's one of the memorable scenes of the film, in that that sort of period of the film anyway, where he's the bleeps, the creeps and the sweeps, and he does all the little sound effects. I thought it was really funny because he was still putting on that Tannoy voice. Clearly when the CB was removed from him and Dark Helmet lost the plot,
standing right next to him.
But shows the sort of petulance of Dark Helmet as well. He gets really agitated very easily. But it was just great to see him in there. Listen, I thought after Police Academy this guy would have went on to do other films and stuff like that. And, maybe it was just my age. I didn't realise this is all he did. I don't mean that in a bad way because what he really did was really good. It was really funny.
Do you not recall hearing the guy do a sort of voice attempt at a Jimi Hendrix song? I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. He was mimicking the guitar and just everything. It's a real talent. It's a unique talent. But it's a talent that can only carry you so far in the actual movie business. Unless you just tailor movies to it, because there is a way of tailoring this into movies. He's hilarious. The guy's funny as hell.
I think he's great,
One of the funniest things in Police Academy before it went absolutely shit. Even then, I'm sure I've seen a great deal of them. I don't think I've seen them all, but I'm sure he carried the other shit movies to a degree with that sort of one-trick pony act. But Stephen, also we do have at this point as well I think it's Dark Helmet comes in and steals away the princess. That sets up
the comb the desert.
Yeah,
that's right.
The comb the desert. That's another great scene.
Yeah.
I think it's actually him that says, "We ain't found shit." And again, it's just the shot of this comb through the desert. It's ridiculous. Some of the imagery in this movie, we'll get onto that at the end as well.
Yeah.
There's some surreal imagery in this movie. It just reeks of Mel Brooks. It really does. And then also, just prior to that, we're introduced to the Schwartz, as we did say, the Force, and the concept of this ring helping them control it. Obviously, we've seen Dark Helmet has a ring, and he utilised that to fire a bolt at the guy's ghoulies and zapped them in the start of the movie. So again, little digs at the Force, if you like, in this movie, which was hilarious. And then that does lead us on, I do believe, to go into the big the Spaceball one, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Spaceball one, yeah.
There's a nice shot, incidentally, of the Winnebago going up out of the desert. I love that little shot. Some of the animations in this are a little bit dodgy. It's a bit Sinbad 1970s.
Yeah.
But that one of it just sliding up and swooping up into the sky from the desert, that was lovely. It was really well animated.
Yeah.
But they go to the Spaceball one, and we get a moment where I think she's singing the princess, and it's she's bass or something like that. She's got a dead deep bassy voice. It's ridiculous. We're here to say we've not got time to talk or something. We're here to save you. Come. And then we get the stunt double capture scene, which is right up there for me in this movie. It's hilarious.
Especially when you've got the
sort of Nazi guy,
the stunt double that's playing the princess, which is he's got a beard and I think he's got a cigar or something.
Yeah,
it's just so silly. Obviously, Dot Matrix doesn't need one, you know.
No.
But it was just one of those funny things. It's, again, Mel Brooks isn't afraid to poke fun at his own films, and it's also poking fun at these films that can edit out stunt doubles quite good, where you can clearly see that doesn't look like the actor, it's ridiculous. But again, it's one of those gags that made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious when I was 11. When I watched it again today, I laughed the same way I did when I was 11.
It's just because you're not expecting it, Steve.
No,
you think, shit, I've actually caught them.
Yeah.
It's this sort of German style Nazi-esque officer.
Yeah.
It's like, we've got you now, there's no running away, you've nowhere to hide, and then they turn round, it's just a little old sort of wrinkled guy, he's the princess. It's ridiculous. And it knocks you off guard, and that's what he does so well. It's like what the hell was that song that was sung in the Blazing Saddles, the Camptown racetrack? It's a sort of dodgy song, but it takes you off guard. These guys come in to lay down the law, and boom, they start singing, and it's ridiculous. You've got quicksand and everything. So this is what the guy does. He knows how to implement this so well. He catches you off guard. Certainly me watching it for the first time today, I was pissed myself laughing at it, I can't lie, it was hilarious. But I love the guy. Some people may not like him as much as me, from a new generation. That's something we might get into, how this maybe transcend to a new generation. But Stephen, also we have the Mega Maid at this point.
The Transformer.
The Transformer. It's not just a ship, it's a massive Transformer or something like that, with a Mega Maid with a Hoover, something along those lines, I think Barf says. But what I find most interesting about this is also they go to, what the hell is it, Drudia, I think the planet is. So obviously it's like Alderaan in actual Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it put me in mind of Rogue One, and the concept that actual Disney took over Star Wars and ripped off an idea from a Mel Brooks Star Wars spoof movie,
The Shield,
and put it in to a Star Wars movie, probably the best Star Wars movie from Disney. So I don't know what that says.
So.
Perhaps we need more Mel Brooks concepts in Star Wars movies. As you did say, with the shield and the opening in the planet, and then they use the big vacuum bag to suck the air out. I just thought that was ridiculous that they've actually copied something from a spoof movie. It's so Disney now.
I mean, just talking about the visuals, John, they were absolutely fantastic. When you look at the movie as a whole, I wouldn't imagine there was a big budget on the film to begin with. You can see a lot of stop motion in there. You can see a lot of model shots.
Like the original Star Wars,
yeah, very dodgy blue screen at times as well. But that scene actually did impress me, and it still kind of holds up just now. The way it transforms from a ship to a almost Statue of Liberty with a Hoover, a vacuum cleaner.
Metamorphosis is complete. The ship is now Mega Maid.
Yeah, and the Hoover bag as well, or the vacuum bag as well, just getting more fuller, with air and trees and snow, whatever else gets sucked up. It's silly. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers, but there's just something visually about that scene that stands out for me.
It's the dialogue as well, Stephen, when what's he called again? I've totally forgot his name. What is he called, man? The Lone Star, when he he also uses the Schwartz to flick the switch and stop it from sucking the air up. I think Colonel Sanders says, it's Mega Maid, she's gone from suck to blow. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it's funny as hell. And then also at this point we've got I'm getting in and he's trying to go all sort of guerrilla warfare in the ship, and he puts his hand on one of the officers and they say, what the hell are you doing? The Vulcan neck pinch thing. Nah, stupid, you got it too high, you got to go down there between where the neck and the shoulder meets. So again, there's little digs at Star Wars in here, there's little digs at Star Trek in here, there's digs at Planet of the Apes later on. There's an alien moment which is one of the best in the whole movie.
It's John, it's the best
Indiana Jones. But Stephen, I have to say, Lone Star was a great little character, man. I was really impressed by Bill Pullman. I love the guy. I've not seen this movie before.
John, it's funny, you know, when you think now, obviously you have a different perspective as to me, but that was the first role I saw Bill Pullman in, so it always be connected to this character for me. You know, a lot of people's introduction to him might have been you know, he did that romantic comedy with Sandra Bullock, I can't even remember the name of it, from the mid-90s. A lot of people relate him to Independence Day as the President. You know,
probably that for me, to be fair.
Lake Placid as well. And recently, both of us did the review on Dark Waters, where he was only in it for about 5 minutes or something like that.
What an appearance, so.
It was a great appearance, and also it was a great performance. Just one of those characters, you know, that you just go, is that Bill Pullman? What's he doing here? You know, and then before you know it, he's away again. But you always remember him.
I liked it to Ray Liotta in Marriage Story. He came in and it was just boom. He stole the show. He had great presence on the screen. That's what the guy can do. Certainly in this movie, he does the part of the spoof Han Solo to great effect.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, we see that. He's probably one of the. I mean, I don't know if I'd get into performances just now. We'll do that later on. I mean, there's so many performances in here, but he's right up there for me and a great character. But also, we see him taking on Dark Helmet at some point round about this part in the movie. I think the
ring saber fight. The
ring saber fight. I see you've got a ring, and your Schwartz is the same size as mine. But how can you handle it? And they're fighting with these. I actually thought it was pretty well put together. The actual effects, it was.
They wrap around each other, don't they? At some point, I
hate it when that happens, when the Schwartz wraps around. Can you put your knee up here and my leg will separate? Then also he plays a trick on him. I think he says he does something anyway, and he steals a ring. And then he does another trick and flings it down the grate, and it disappears. And then we have Mel Brooks saying through the Force, doing his Obi-Wan Kenobi moment, use the Schwartz, use this Schwartz. I think he says not this Schwartz. And then he realised, I think I got this from I actually get the quote there, but I can't be asked actually looking for it. But he says, I got it from a cheap something. It's annoying me that I can't actually get it, but it's going to haunt me, Stephen, if I don't get this. But it doesn't matter. It basically says use it. I've got so many quotes here. I've got this movie is infinitely quotable.
It's funny, I'm laughing, John, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember what the line is.
I'm going to try and get it now.
Listen, I'll give it to
Forget the ring. I found it in a Cracker Jack box.
That's it,
a Cracker Jack box. And then obviously that gives him impetus to then. And incidentally, what he says about the stunt doubles, we've got Bill Pullman pirouetting and somersaulting to avoid blasts. At this point I'm like, that is not Bill Pullman, not a chance, man. You've got that stunt double in. But what was your thoughts on that ring saber fight moment, Stephen? Because that's probably better than the lightsaber fight we got in the original Star Wars.
Again, John, it's Brooks' humour in there. You know, it's quite it's double meanings,
double entendre.
Yeah, that's the word. You're right about the visuals as well. You know, it was handled very well, you know, with the effects, you know, but that bit where they wrap round always sticks out in my head for some reason. It looks like one of those ice cream lollies you get. Can't remember what they're called.
Twister or something?
A Twister, yeah. That's exactly it, you know. And then the fact they've got to sort of, you know, sort this out. You know, you put your knee on my foot on my knee and we'll try and break away from this. They've got to try and work this out. But no, it's great, John, and it shows that even this is supposed to be the sort of climatic sort of battle in the film, you know, between the sort of good and evil.
Can't forget that line as well, Stephen, prior to the battle.
Yeah.
So at last we meet for the last time. And he's thinking about it,
And also the roommate, the dad's uncles. I can't remember what the line is, John.
I've got it here, Stephen.
If you've got it, then say it.
There's something you should know about us, Lone Star. I'm your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. What's that make us? Absolutely nothing, which is what you're about to become. Prepare to die. And again, Rick Moranis. I'm not a big fan of Rick. It's just like you, Stephen. I think he's a little bit of a just a moaning dour-faced shit at times, but he's just perfect in this movie. He plays that sort of pedantic little, I don't know, dour-faced shit of a villain very, very well, Stephen. But yeah, I mean, after that, I think we get the self-destruct moment, which is probably the highlight of the entire movie for me, Stephen, because it just goes balls to the wall crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he forces him back, I think, with a blast, using the Schwartz into the self-destruct, big red button on the wall, because that's what you would do. It's like, again, a running joke on the lack of health and safety in Star Wars movies. There's no railings, and there's about a 20,000 foot drop to either side.
Yeah.
And also we've got self-destruct button, and there's no real protection. But Stephen, this sequence that comes afterwards is just absolutely mad. We've got President, whatever the hell his name is, I'm trying to bring it back up. We've got the President, we've got Colonel Sanders in the midst of the control room. What can we do to stop it? There's no way to stop it. The destruction will be happening in, I think, 3 minutes. They've got to take it off the ship. And we've got clowns somersaulting over railings, and there's a bear at one point.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got a pizza guy. I think we've got the president. I'm trying to find that goddamn president's name.
Scroob, yeah.
President Scroob says, "What the hell are you doing? Get out of here." Pizza to go or something like that, and he's laughing his head off. So many quick cuts to absolutely surreal imagery in this, none more so than Scroob. I can't say
Scroob,
his name tonight. Scroob going into the escape pod.
I'll stop you right now. If you ever want to think what his name is, it's Brooks backwards.
Brooks, Jesus Christ, yes, man, so obvious. There you go again. There's another little bit. But also Scroob getting in, man, with the bear.
Yeah.
I was absolutely... Stephen, I watched it about 5 times in a row. I had to keep coming back. I was killing myself. That's how funny it actually was.
He's trying to...
What's wrong with his seatbelt?
He's trying to lock himself in, that's right.
He turns round and the bear goes for him. He's just screaming. It's just amazing.
There's so much happening in this scene as well, John. You're right.
God.
You know, I don't know how many extras were used
the
in this.
song as well,
but
Stephen.
See the cuts as well. You're absolutely right. It's something I missed as well when we were talking about it earlier, was how many... The cuts are almost like Captain America in 1990.
Yeah.
It's just so you end up getting dizzy with everything that's happening, but it's so funny as well. And you're right about the self-destruct thing and the sort of highlighting the health and safety aspects that we're missing in Star Wars: A New Hope, especially when they're firing the laser in the Death Star. There's guys like working away, like maybe 5 feet away from the actual laser gun.
The actual heat off of that would kill them. Stone dead.
Yeah,
it would kill them. But Stephen, obviously, that you mentioned quick cuts, and it got me back to another point of this movie, which we've not yet actually touched upon. Little tangents throughout this movie, cuts to scenes that add nothing to the story, but they're just in there and they're hilarious. Also, we've got Scroobs doing the toilet, and the sort of call comes up. I don't know what you'd even call it. It's like a wall turns and it's that woman.
It's a video call.
Video call. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to say that because it's not very sci-fi, but yeah, it is. It's a video call. And he's like, "I told you this wall's private. It's off limits." Just little things like that, little cuts, and she makes him do that sort of salute, and he takes his hands off and flashes himself, and she gives a little knowing look. Little things like that, little tangents that he goes off and that are hilarious, that add nothing to the story, but they add so much to the laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene's probably right up there for me in the whole movie. It's probably my standout. Just the music, the freneticism, everyone rushing. We've got clowns, we've got guys with big huge crayons, pizza people, bears. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Obviously, the 3 main villains, Scroobs, Sanders and Black Helmet, are stuck in the actual control room. But heroes manage to get away again. They're in a tight sort of corridor, trying to work their way out. That's a dig at obviously the end of... I don't know, Return of the Jedi, I want to say, because that was before this. So again, we're getting a little homage, but they end up getting marooned on the ship. It explodes, they're left spinning through space. That's a payback to, obviously, Vader at the end of A New Hope. And then we get down to Drudia, what I say it is. Obviously, the day saved. They are marooned. It never really comes to anything, though. They land on the beach, other than to have another dig at another sci-fi franchise, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's them. The planet's screwed or something like that.
Yeah,
and they woke up.
The head from the Megamaid, in the hand, land on the beach, and it's obviously paying homage to Planet of the Apes. And I don't know if that was actually from Planet of the Apes, and that was just an intercut scene with audio over the top. I'm not really sure.
I don't know,
because it was really well done.
It was,
and I mean, obviously the wedding's got to take place now. Obviously, Lone Star and Barth are sitting in a diner. They're depressed, I think this is obviously Lone Star's got feelings for the princess, you know, and they're sitting in the diner and just, if you're watching this for the first time, it's a bit weird the way that they do this, because it pans away from them and homes in on this crowd sitting in the back. I don't know how you felt about that, John, but I just felt like, who are these people? But if you obviously get the eagle eye, you notice John Hurt.
I didn't. I missed him.
In there. Well,
he's very young.
Yeah.
It's not the John Hurt I remember, Stephen.
Yeah.
I remember John Hurt as sort of middle-aged, sort of Ollivander, mid-90s onwards. I don't really remember this version of John Hurt.
Well, this is the bit that he did in Alien. You know, and it's obviously...
Well, I've seen him in Alien, so I don't know how the hell I don't recognise him.
It's paying homage to that again.
Shocking, John.
But I think it's because you don't expect to see him. You know, there's... why would you? You know, you'd be like...
I recognise him, Steve, but I didn't put two and two together.
It was actually my dad that pointed it out to me the first time I saw it. I didn't really know who John Hurt was. I only knew John Hurt by name through The Elephant Man, which he did in 1980, I think it was. Might be wrong.
It's a fantastic film.
You know, that was the only sort of reference I knew to him. I was too young to watch Alien at the time, although I was alright to watch Spaceballs. No logic there at all. But it was a great scene. We get that dancing alien, John. What did you think of that? I loved the song and everything. I thought it was well animated, you know, with the top hat and a little cane.
Stephen, it was sensational. It's the way it's busting out stomach. Oh, not again. What? What do you mean, not again? Obviously, that means a payback to Alien. You're right. I mean, obviously, that's what he means by it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the context of the movie,
it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. But it's a great payback. Again, little spoof of all the different sci-fi movies. I've said in my notes, thinking that the last 30-40 years worth of sci-fi classics are spoofed to absolute beauty in this movie by Mel Brooks. But the fact that the little reptile alien jumps up onto the sort of, whatever you'd call it.
It's like a counter,
yeah, the counter. Yeah. And then it pans into it and its eyes change.
Yeah.
And it puts the hat on and it's dancing. It's just absolutely incredible.
Check, please.
And also John Candy's character in it, Barf, he says, what the hell did he have? The special? That's what I ordered. I don't want that anymore. Can I change my order? Yes, I will have soup. And then this little thing dances along and they bail. It's just, again, surreal imagery, quick cuts, absolutely magnificent. It's just stupid humour, but you can't help but laugh your head off at it. It's just, I love the guys. I says,
they end up back in the Winnebago, don't they? And Lone Star remembers he's got the fortune cookie that he got off yogurt, and he doesn't want it. He gives it to Barf. Barf opens it. It's a message, obviously holographic form, paying homage to, obviously, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my last hope. Scene, you know, with the hologram. This is obviously yogurt passing on a message to Lone Star. What is it again? Is it a medallion or something? I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's a little medallion.
A medallion, and what its true meaning is. It turns out, obviously, that he is. His father was a king and his mother was a queen. That doesn't make any sense if you know anything about the monarchy in the UK. You can't have that. No. It doesn't work that way. But it obviously means that he is a prince. So we all know where that's leading to, don't we?
Stephen, I'm actually kicking myself though that I've missed another great bit of dialogue prior to that. The 986 moment. 6? What happened to 7? Just kidding.
I can't remember that, John.
That was in the escape sequence.
Oh,
They're stuck on the control room. 9, 8, 6.
Oh,
6? What happened to 7?
I totally missed that, yeah.
I'm just looking because you're right. Also, he finds out he's a prince. That takes them to the chapel or the church to save the day and get in, and he can be married. The old sort of priest, he's getting fed up. He's like, look, enough. This is a short version. And then when obviously Lone Star comes in, this is a short version. And we've got Barf up, and he says, what's your name? Barf. Your full name? Bartholomew. You're the one getting married? No, then get over there. It's just ridiculous, Stephen, but it works so well. And again, that's paying sort of tribute to the end of A New Hope, but you have that sort of ceremony, and it's all happily ever after. No medals in sight though, apart from the medallion.
But once again, the dog's getting kicked to the curb.
The dog's getting kicked to the curb, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, he's not getting the medallion, he's not getting anything, he's getting booted to the curb.
Yeah.
That brings the end up, Stephen, though, and I mean, we'll probably do performances before we give our final thoughts on this movie. What would be your standout performance in this? Because I have to say, I have to go for Mel Brooks, I really do. Just for yogurt and the double performance. He's hilarious.
It would be the obvious choice, John, but I think for carrying the film, I would say, it's between Rick Moranis and Bill Pullman for me. I knew Rick Moranis and what he was capable of in previous films anyway, as I mentioned earlier. Mel Brooks will always turn up and give a brilliant performance in his own films. He's the guy that does the writing, so he knows how to execute it well, and he always turns up at the right moments. The two characters they played were fantastic as well. Either sides of the divide, the good and the evil. Bill Pullman, on the other hand, was an unknown to me anyway at this stage, and I didn't know who he was. He was a very cool looking guy when I was an 11-year-old. It reminded me so much more of Indiana Jones than it did Han Solo, strangely. I think it was just his get up, but it was great. He's very droll, and him up against alongside John Candy as well, who was already a big name star on film and stand up. For him to be on level pegging and performance wise with him says a lot. So I would say probably Rick Moranis and Bill Pullman for me.
Stephen, I couldn't argue with that. I just because I love Mel Brooks so much though. But I would give some credit to George Weiner as well, because some of the best moments in this movie do come with the sort of fake Empire side of things. Him bouncing off of Rick Moranis, the hilarity those two get up to,
facial expressions.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So those two are really good as well. And you can't forget obviously Daphne Zuniga as Princess Vespa, and obviously Joan Rivers as Doc Matrix. I never really thought about that character's name, but there was really the whole array of really good performances. But yeah, I mean, if you were to twist my arm, I'd probably go with Moranis, Brooks and Bill Pullman, because those guys were just fantastic in the movie. They had the most sizable one, perhaps not Brooks, but real sizable roles. But Stephen, final thoughts on this movie. What is your thoughts on this? Where do you rank this in terms of Mel Brooks movies? What I will say before I let you in, there's just something about this guy. There's no place he will not go to in a movie. There's nothing that's off bounds or out of bounds for his sort of comedy. Even his own religion. There's several jokes in there about Jews and whatnot. The guy does not give a shit. Everything's up for being targeted for his jokes and ridicule, and that's what a good comedian should always be like. There should be, if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anybody else, and I'm a firm advocate of that. I love laughing at myself.
I would say, John, it's probably my fourth favourite Mel Brooks film. My favourite being obviously Young Frankenstein, maybe Blazing Saddles, Producers, and then this. There's something about this, John. Mel Brooks is always good at making fun of more serious things. Star Wars itself didn't take itself too serious, so it kind of falters in that sort of way of thinking, whereas if you take the horror element of Young Frankenstein and turn it into a comedy, you've got gold there right away. Same with take it a western and turn it into a comedy. When you do it with Star Wars, it's quirky enough, so it's a it's a tougher thing to do, I would say, to make that more funny. He seems to do it though, but watching it today, it wasn't the same kind of buzz I got as I did as an 11-year-old. I think a lot of the jokes in this are very immature, and that's not a dig or anything like that. They're still good jokes. But just watching it again, I don't know if it was my expectations, just getting excited to see this film again after 20 odd years. It wasn't the same experience for me. I still laughed at lots of the bits in this film that I forgot about. Stunt doubles, the hoovering, things like that. The Schwartz fight as well, the ring fight. Very funny stuff, but a lot of the visual stuff still holds up as well. Yeah,
Stephen, look, it's just the nature of a movie like this, really. He's throwing so many jokes at the screen. Some are going to stick and some aren't going to stick. There's moments where you're
like the jam.
Yeah, like the jam, exactly. That's a visual metaphor for the humour in this movie. Some of it will work, some of it won't work. But I think in the main, he does get the jokes just about right. It's just, again, I mean, it's all, when I think about Mel Brooks movies, they're all kind of the same. They've all got that sort of level of humour. It's like, walk this way. And the werewolf, why did you say it like that? Just thought you like it. It's little things like that in all his movies that just seem to work for me. Final things I'd say, John Morris done the score on this, and this guy's worked with Mel before in the likes of Blade and Saddles. He also worked in The Elephant Man, as you did mention, with John Hurt. So, really good. I wouldn't say a really good score, but there was moments where it felt Star Warsy, and obviously that little pan into the Spaceball one, there was that sort of darker theme, even though there was humour coming.
Nice dissolve. I forgot about that line as well.
There's so many good lines in it, Stephen. There really is. It's just littered. I mean, I've got about 20 quotes in my notes. It's just off the scale, the writing, and that's Mel Brooks again. Wonderful writer, knows how to do comedy. And then Stephen, also Nick McLaughlin is the cinematographer as well. This is a man that's worked on the likes of The Goonies, Cobra, A real tour de force back in the 1980s. Not so much now though, so perhaps he's went down a rabbit hole like I did at a certain point tonight. But Stephen, look, I ain't got much more to add about this great Mel Brooks movie. I don't know if you have.
No.
Well, that's going to round up the review of Spaceballs from all the way back in 1987 then. On that note, what the hell do you guys make about this retro movie review? What's your thoughts on Spaceballs? Was it a necessary movie in that void between the prequel and the original trilogy? What's your thoughts on the jokes? Have they aged well? Do you think it's a multi-generational thing? Will it hold up going into the future? Certainly held up for me. If you've got anything to say at all about this movie, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you do, we'll see us again tomorrow for another movie review.